Well, Sean, you know I love a good story. And this is a story that's only happened to me one time in 10 years. And how long have you been selling real estate?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So it's just happened to you for the first time. So just to give you a little background, Sean went on a listing appointment and it was going to be land. And the gentleman, when he called in, what did he tell you?
He told me that he had land that he wanted to sell immediately.
Immediately, so like quick.
Like to us is what he was.
Yeah, he was hoping that Sean wanted to buy some land, but you didn't that day.
Not that day, no.
But whenever we go on a listing appointment, now we always take the tax records. Mm-hmm. And you knew you had talked to this guy, and we're going to call him, we'll call him Joe Smith.
Okay.
And
relative of yours.
Yeah, relative of mine. But the tax records actually said Jenny Smith. Not really. We're making the Smith names up. And what did he say I was? Whenever you were like, hey, your name's not on the tax records.
He said that you were his grandmother and had passed. And now it's his property.
And now it's his property. Did you believe him?
I did.
Yeah, totally.
He wanted to sell it for sale by owner.
Okay.
And so what happened is I had a buyer who I knew would be interested in the property. And so I brought him an offer. And so he signed it as the owner, saying that, yes, he's going to sell it to us for this amount.
Okay. And then you sent that to the closing attorney.
That's right. Sent it to the closing attorney, and they did what they do and found out that this guy is actually not the owner of the property.
Is he kin to the person who did own the property?
He's kin.
Yeah. Is he the grandson or something?
Something like that. I think great nephew.
Okay, great nephew.
Is what?
Yeah.
Yeah, is how it ended up.
And then this one was a little more intriguing because when you found out who the land actually went to, mm-hmm. She couldn't sign either. She has somebody who signs for her.
Right.
Yeah. So, has it closed yet?
It hasn't.
It hasn't, but it's getting closer now, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I've had to rewrite the offer multiple times with different sellers, and it's been months and months that we've been trying to figure this out.
So title issues are complicated sometimes, even if the issue isn't like, I don't think the guy necessarily lied. No. I think he really thought is he a part owner?
He lived in the house on the property. I mean, no one can live in that house now.
Right.
But for a time, he lived there in the house. I believe he said he grew up there mm-hmm. with his siblings. And his grandmother owned it. He took care of it for a little while after she passed. He took over paying the taxes on the property. And so he felt like, because he did those things, that it was his now.
Right.
But actually, when she passed, ownership transferred to this other relative. I believe it was the sister of his grandmother. Okay. And so I think an honest mistake, just someone who is kind of ignorant of how things work.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. So with titles, your buyer still wants it.
He does, yeah. And he's been very patient, which is great. But
yeah. It just takes a while sometimes to get these things messy. But I'm glad it wasn't a scam, because there are some scams out there.
Right.
Yeah, it was really somebody. But that's why we have closing attorneys who make sure that the person who says they can sell the property can actually sell the property.
Right. And I know that guy who, the original person that we had written the offer to, who, he was excited about selling this property and getting some money. He had some plans. He had discussed this with me, and we were working it out. He was being, he's very friendly and very reasonable. But when he found out that it wasn't his to sell, it was a bummer for us, but also for him. And you could hear the disappointment in his voice. Like, these plans that he had made were, not going to happen.
Yeah, that would be a bummer.
So it's bad for both sides, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.